I woke up this morning in Florida and it was a bit overcast, just a tad bit. I looked out my window and something just felt bright about the day. So I got dressed. I grabbed me some mango, put on these shades, and headed on down to the breakfast bar where the bartender said, "Mr. Love, why do you have on your sunglasses? It's overcast today." And I looked right at her and I said, "Well, if you haven't noticed, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan and our future just got really bright. So I'm going to need these today." And yes, woohoo, the future is bright. Lamar is back. In less than an hour, the Baltimore Ravens are going to be facing the Miami Dolphins with so much on the line. The bar is raised for this one. The bar is so raised because what happens today, the implications will rewrite the season for good or for bad, and one of these two teams is going to be on the good side of that, and the other, sadly, is going to end on the bad. But what that outcome will be and why these shades are so appropriately on my face tonight and why the future's so bright, that's all coming up right now. Welcome back to One Flock. I'm your host, Rob Love. Y'all know what time it is. Grab a mango, because it's time to fly. Let's go.
Let's go Ravens, let's go Ravens, let's go Ravens, let's go Ravens. We are one flock, we are one flock, we are one flock, we are one flock.
It feels so good to be smiling again and to have this bright future. Flock family, welcome back. Thanks for joining the brother. Big news today. And for those of you who are just joining us, welcome. We do this. We're a brand new channel. We've been around less than a year, and the family just keeps growing. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know every time we're dropping a new video, because, woo, we got a long season. Once again, we have a long season, and the reason is because Lamar Jackson has returned to the flock. He spent 3 weeks now, actually 4 weeks if we include the bye, rehabbing that hamstring, which was injured, as you recall, in the third quarter against the Kansas City Chiefs earlier this year. And, whew, it just feels good. It feels so good because we know what that means. The whole world knows what that means. It means the season is now a whole different look for the 2-5 Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson said, "You don't want a hamstring injury to end your season." And now he doesn't have to worry about that. He's healthy, he's confident, and he's going to be facing a Dolphins defense that has allowed a significant amount of rushing yards this season. And so this really could shape up well as a get right, get back into the flow game for Lamar Jackson tonight. He could run over for 100 yards and throw for multiple touchdowns in his return for all we know. But it's not just about offense. This game could signal how serious the Ravens are about the comeback path and resuming what the trajectory for this season started out being, namely a Super Bowl season for the Ravens. Is that really still in the playbook? I will tell you, if you've been listening and looking at a lot of the film breakdown as I have, it seems that the defense has started on a path that many believe resembles what we saw last year, where Zach Orr made some adjustments in the defense, and suddenly their performance, particularly in their secondary where they were getting toasted, tightened up and looked a whole lot better. We've seen two performances from this Ravens defense that was encouraging. The Rams, remember, one of the most high-powered offenses in the country. The Baltimore Ravens held them in check. And then, of course, the last game, once again, not a very great opponent we were playing. However, the defense still looked sound. So our question has to be, with Lamar Jackson being here now, with each win that we accumulate, and it has to be a 1-week season every week. It has to be a 1-week season. Whatever happened last week, we have to forget, because there is no margin for loss. There is no space for the Baltimore Ravens. We've dug ourselves into a hole, Not all on purpose. I mean, obviously, we had a lot of injuries, record-breaking injuries in terms of how many players were out at the beginning of the season. It was unreal. I mean, it was at one point 73% of our starting defense was out with injury. And then, of course, we backed that up with losing Lamar Jackson for weeks. So it hasn't been on purpose or with the intent that we arrived here. However, we are here, and now every game is a Super Bowl. Every game is a Super Bowl. This game against Miami tonight with the lights on bright, which is why I got these bad boys on. Every game is a Super Bowl. So I'm ready. I hope you guys are ready, because if we look at these two teams, they both are in must-win situations. Miami looked like a totally revamped team in their last win, where they were actually able to suddenly generate some play action, and where they were able to use their running backs, which they have some deadly running backs. A-Chain is one of those dudes. He is a dude that if you have a breakdown in coverage, he's going to cook you and run all the way to the house, and there's no catching him. If we look at Buchanan and the middle of our defense, if they get beat, their catch-up speed, we don't really have that come from behind, run a guy down speed. So it's very important to us that we contain, and trying to contain a guy like Devon A-Chain. And then that's not what the only speed they have on this team. They also have one of the fastest wide receivers out there, Waddle. Waddle is, I mean, he's special. The dude's zippy. They don't have Tyreek anymore. It's scary to think how much speed they had before Tyreek went down. But our defense is going to have to be up to the challenge and recognize the speed that the skilled players that they're going to be trying to contain have. Because if we let them break, you're not going to run these guys down. You're not going to chase them down. So that's something that we need to continue to see improvement on tonight. It has to be rapid improvement, because a loss tonight, what would it mean? Well, let's talk about that. The Ravens are coming in at 2-5. If they lose tonight, that would put them at 2-6. 2-6 with the season that we have in front of us. We would almost be in a situation where we would have to go undefeated for the rest of the season in order to make a good push. If you already have 6 losses in week 9, would there still be a small window? But the pressure would be so big, and operating under that type of pressure where you can't lose any game, that's a long time to have to do it to get through the rest of the season like that. And then what it would take to do that, would the team be so stressed out but if they did make it to a wild card game, say, where they would just be like, and an early out. So very important that the Ravens win. However, let's go. If they do win tonight, suddenly, 3-5 doesn't sound as crazy as where we were not long ago, 1-5. And then you get another win and stacking onto that, and now you're 4-5. Now you're getting to 500, and that one-game season really becomes impactful after that. So very important. Now, unfortunately for the Miami Dolphins, they're already kind of in that situation. They're already sitting at 2-6. They lose this game, their season's pretty much over. In fact, for some people, they're saying the season already is over. Why? Because they don't have a Lamar Jackson and a Derrick Henry and an offense that returns everybody virtually from last year's number one offense. They don't really have a reason to believe that they could make a push this season. So their season is probably already over. But if they lose tonight, it's certainly over. And you can expect to see some major changes happening down there in Miami. Yet and still, nobody's ready to call in quits. It's early enough in the season. Everybody's seen their favorite football movie, Remember the Titans. You believe. You keep going. You believe until it's all taken away. And right now, I don't see anybody laying down. Nobody's laying down. Nobody in that Miami locker room is saying, you know what, we're going to lay down. They believe they can beat the Ravens because they've seen so many other teams beat the Ravens. Everybody in the Ravens locker room is saying, we absolutely believe we can beat Miami because they've seen so many other teams beat Miami. Neither one of these teams are lacking for motivation or for belief that they can win. So the only real question is, who's going to win? Well, at 2-5, the Baltimore Ravens aren't just playing for a win, they're playing for relevance. Now, the Vegas odds are saying that the Ravens should win by 7.5 points. That's largely, of course, because of Eight's return. Lamar Jackson is back. And that Ravens win today will reset the narrative for this team because suddenly it's all momentum. You're riding a 2-win winning streak and you're looking at your schedule and saying, hey, this schedule is one that we could really link some things together, especially if Lamar's looking like Lamar tonight. And that's something that I'm looking for. Is he hesitant on that hamstring, or is he looking fresh and looking like himself? Because if that is the case, wow, Ravens. Wow. And if this defense, and think about all the players that have had to, with this rash of injuries we've had early in the season. Think about all the players, the young players, that have gotten valuable experience out of necessity. So because of that, does that really weigh in a long season for us in our favor? Say in the late season, if now all of a sudden we have to lean on these guys more than expected, that valuable experience they've gotten, if we're able to salvage this season by them being pitched in the fire in the beginning and us getting off to this terrible start as a result, would that pay dividends later in the season? The fact that we did have to put so many of these young guys into real game time situations with a lot on the line early on, it very well could be. There are many who are starting to believe within the fan base that this could be a season that reads storybook, that reads Lifetime channel movie, that reads somebody's writing a book about it. This will be one of those stories. It's starting to get that feel, and we only have that feel because Lamar Jackson's back. So, matchup time is coming for tonight. And what is that matchup going to look like? Well, we know there haven't been any changes on the offensive line. So Lamar's protection is going to be what Lamar Jackson's protection has been before he left, and that's not very good. So with that, very important Lamar's able to move and get around. We'll be looking to see how he does with that. But let's look on the other side. That defense that is coming at him with the Miami. Remember, they're the ones that a couple of years back started the whole zero blitz against Lamar. And a lot of teams started using that, and it was effective for a while. But keep in mind, when they did that, we didn't have a Todd Monken who was actually going to allow within this scape of the offense Lamar Jackson to throw and utilize his great arm. We were in that prehistoric, silly offense where they limited Lamar's potential by doing all of this just short passes and not really allowing him to use his arm. Well, now, Lamar, he's been blitzed at an extremely high rate this year. I want to say it's like 37% of the time teams have been blitzing Lamar Jackson, trying to shut him down, but he is beating the blitz. I want to say it's like a 72, 74% range, something like that. He's beating the blitz. He's beating it at such a rate and having such a great success rate against the blitz. It's almost like he's begging people, yeah, blitz me. So if Miami comes with that, if Lamar's able to move and create on the run like he's been doing, that could play right into his favor. He does have a lot more weapons at his disposal at this point in career than he's ever had. What I'm hoping to see Lamar Jackson do tonight is utilize as many of those weapons as he possibly can. And hopefully Monken has opened up the playbook and stopped making it as vanilla. We started to see some of this in the last game. I didn't see so much of a predictable, okay, well, he pulled out this lineup. Oh, he sent in this package. This is what he's about to do. I saw less of that. It was a lot more creativity in that last win, even though Lamar Jackson wasn't under center. So are we going to continue to see that type of creative play calling from Monken as we get into this next game? If we do, and Lamar's healthy, this could quickly turn into a blowout tonight because there are some challenges on that Miami defense. They've got a few guys that are banged up that could affect them in their attempts to try to cover that secondary. They've got several guys who are banged up on the secondary. They've got a lot of youth out there. Their secondary is looking a lot like ours did after the start of the season. So trying to keep up with Zay Flowers and DeAndre Hopkins and Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, Justice Hill, trying to cover all these guys, it's going to be tough on that secondary if we get into that layer. So Lamar switching up between the run and Derrick Henry doing his thing and Monken being able to really get creative with that playbook is going to put a lot of pressure on a young stretch defense for Miami, and it really does bode well for us if we can do that. Now let's flip on the other side. Let's look at our defense trying to slow down this very, as we already talked about, speedy Miami offense. Devon Achane is a guy that he's a who amongst NFL players. If there was a race, I would love to see a foot race between Achane, Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. I would love to see these dudes line up and go. And let's put Nate Wiggins on the line too, because that dude's fast. I would love to see that. But we're not going to see it. But what we are going to see is some very fast players on the field tonight, and speed is going to be key. Don't think that Miami isn't going to dial up speed as a way to try to capitalize. They average fast play action like no one else. I want to say even when they're passing, 2.5 seconds is how long Tua has the ball in his hand before it's out. They really focus on speed because they have so much of it. It's such an element of their game. And because they've changed their formations and how they're using their tight ends, as we saw in the last game, now they have more of that play action option. And when you've got running backs like they have, and you also have wide receivers like they have, and Tua, who is a very good, precise thrower of the football, they can really challenge your defense and make you miss, make you guess wrong one time, and that speed has them off to the races. So it's really going to be important to see how well our defense can adjust, how well Zach Orr in film study has been able to try to piece together a way to attack this speed-driven offense that the Miami Dolphins utilize, and they do it extremely well. When they do it like they did in this previous game, they looked like a different team altogether. So really excited to see what happens there. And we talked about Nate Wiggins as far as being fast on our team, and I want to go back because he got picked on, if you recall, in that last game, and it looked like he was getting burnt. Right, Odunze was taking him to school, but you notice Nate Wiggins didn't give up. He didn't get his head down. He just stayed after it. And guess what the young fella did? The young fella got that pick. Are we going to be able to get turnovers? This is something that this defense has been challenged to. And I think in what's going to be a high octane performance tonight, a lot of points are going to be put up on the board. Will we be able to continue to get that type of defensive intensity and get those turnovers? Because if we can get those turnovers, if we can also do what we managed to do in 3 quarters of our previous game, and that is control the clock, have sustained drives, and hopefully not dig ourselves in a hole, because that's that slow start. This is what I would really like to see, and having Lamar Jackson back is going to help with that. Lamar Jackson, I expect him to come out fast. If we can keep those sustained drives, really open up the playbook, be unpredictable, and then when we get on defense, don't get beat. Don't get lost in coverage. Don't let that guy get past you, because if he does, you're not chasing him down. This is exciting stuff. This is exciting stuff tonight. We've got to see what happens. There's a guy on this Miami defense. I want to say his name is Brooks. This guy's special. He got so many tackles. I want to say he leads the NFL in tackles right now. So even though the Miami defense hasn't looked awesome, this dude is a dude. And so be on the lookout for that guy. I forget what his number is, but I want to say his name is Brooks. The guy's special. And he's going to be aiming to cause some havoc and wreak some havoc. Hopefully, we're on the lookout for that guy, because don't sleep on these. Don't look at the Dolphins defense and be like, oh, they don't have anybody. Yes, they do. They just haven't collectively gotten the act together. But there are some players on this defense, and we're just going to have to come out there and play like this is the Super Bowl. If we go out there and give the Miami Dolphins the same respect as the Philadelphia Eagles tonight, then we can go out there and we can win by 30 and have a really feel-good feeling leaving out of Florida tonight with our mangoes in hand and our shades definitely on, because the future is bright. But what do you guys think? What do you think the final score is going to be? I'm going to go ahead and say Lamar's locked in. We all heard about how he took all the games, told everybody, hey, man, get that stuff out the locker room. We need to be focused. I don't think anybody wants to be the person that comes in tonight on Lamar's first coming out and ends up being the knucklehead that causes the game. I think guys are going to be thinking about making sure they secure the ball and don't fumble. And if he throws it my way, come down with it. I think you're going to see a very focused team tonight. And I don't think there's any question that's what you'll see from this veteran team with some young guys in there that I'm sure has been influenced by the veteran leadership we have on this team, starting with quarterback Lamar Jackson. So with that happening, here's my projection for tonight's game. It's going to be a high scorer. Remember, it's bright, though. It's bright. The Ravens are going to return to the 40-plus club. We're putting up 44 points tonight. The final score will be 44-21. Ravens, double them up, plus some, and get out of there with a very much needed inspirational win in Lamar's return. Lamar's going to definitely look for him to be able to direct this offense in a way that shows he's doing the quick reads that we've seen him doing. Hopefully, the play calling, he'll have more at his disposal because Monken's going to keep it opened up. I would like to see all of our running backs being used. Maybe, again, you keep hearing me say it, twin back sets would be nice. We have two very different running backs we can always put on the field at the same time. Will we get some of that? We'll see. And if the Dolphins can handle the pressure and tempo, I don't think they will be able to, but we'll see. We'll see. But definitely that pressure and tempo should be put on them. That should be something we're thinking the whole game. But we'll see. And again, keep up the good thing, because last game we didn't have a lot of penalties. That was another thing I saw in that last game. And whenever you see that happening, that's focused. The team is focused. They're not making the stupid oopsies. So let's get this win tonight. It's going to be special. It's going to be special. Today is more than just week 9. It is the reset point. It is let's see what you are made of moment. That's what it is. It's a let's see what you're made of moment for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. And so you guys dig in. Let's get ready to get this win. Let me know what you're thinking about the game, about the season. I'd love to hear it in the comments. Remember, we're going to be back to talk about whatever happens tonight. Hopefully, I still got these shades on next time you see me. If you know somebody out there that needs some more love in their life, please remember, there's one thing this world will never be too full of, and that thing's love. So give it to them for me, all right? And you know my last words. You know my last words. Thanks for flying, brother. Let's go get this win. I'll see y'all afterwards. Let's go.
We take the field as one flock. Come on, Ravens, here we go as one block. We keep grinding till we soar to the top. Come on, Ravens, here we go as one block. We keep grinding till we soar to the top. Let's go, Ravens, let's go, Ravens.